Hello and welcome, zombie fans. This is Reanimated, our 90th episode. My name is Stuart Tiffin, and I am joining you from the rainy Pacific coast. And meanwhile, on the summery eastern coast of the United States, is I'm also joined by H.A. Conrad. How are you today?
I'm great. You're talking about the weather again, though.
I'm just talking about the coast.
Certain fans hate that.
Well, okay, okay. I'll do it over again.
I'm just giving you crap.
From I am over here, and she is over there, and together we are reanimated. Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, this episode, as all of them are, brought to you by Squarespace. Build it beautiful with Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to create your own website. They have 24/7 customer support. They've got tips and tools and widgets and wadgets, and you can build a beautiful website and host things. And you should do it. And you should use our offer code zombie at checkout for your first purchase, and you will get 10% off, and that's pretty badass.
It is. Thank you, Squarespace. You're the best.
So hello.
Hello.
We've been hitting a bit of a fall dip
Hiatus.
dip in our production output, but we are still slogging away, and we've got a lot of content coming up that we're excited about still. So thank you for listening to Reanimated as always, and here are some of our zombie news tidbits. HA, what you got, number one?
Number one, I'm sure you have seen this quite a few times. There is a gentleman in Ohio, and instead of the usual nativity scene, he basically puts up a zombie nativity scene, and there's been a lot of controversy over it. This is in Cincinnati, by the way. And the gentleman in question is named Jason Dixon, and they this year tried to get him to take it down for zoning reasons, and so he had to sort of adjust it, and it's back out there. But I suspect the real reason is because people don't really like the fact that he put up a zombie nativity scene. But I think it's kind of badass. So
I thought it was funny also that the he was getting in trouble with a $500 a day fine potentially
ridiculous. Come on.
over just having a roof over it. I mean, why they called it zoning, I didn't understand, because if anything, this is like a building permit issue where
Right.
he's built a shed essentially on his front yard because the nativity had three walls and a roof. The roof was pretty big.
Yes, but still, come on. We know the real issue at hand here, I suspect, and
Yeah,
I
and
I think
yeah.
if it was a usual nativity scene, nobody would have said anything. But I kudos to Mr. Dixon
Well, he
for
went down the street
persevering.
from he went a block away from his place and took pictures at this church where they had a similar
Hmm.
construction for their nativity scene, like roof, walls, fences, giant, same as size as his probably. And he's like, look what the town's letting this church do, but
Hmm.
they're giving me a hard time. I mean, maybe churches are zoned differently from single family dwellings, and they can have a big roofed shack in their front yard. But I thought it was kind of an interesting point that he was making. Did you notice, though, that he is saying he's not going to do it anymore? This is the last year.
He is, and I think that that's just a shame because I think he had a good sense of humor about it, and I get that people get upset, but still, come on, people. This is free speech. This is America, and if you want to celebrate our zombie loving Lord, I think you should be allowed to. So anyway,
Yeah, fair enough.
but I'm glad that he put it back up this year. In any case, so enjoy your zombie nativity scene, denizens of Ohio, and maybe somebody else will take up this cause next year.
That would be fantastic if there was an I Am Spartacus moment and suddenly there were 30
I know.
zombie nativities around Sycamore Township. But in the meantime, we'll just have to celebrate the one. Next up in the news is a trailer for a manga inspired zombie film called I Am Hero.
Hmm.
I'm unfamiliar with the manga entirely, and the trailer is completely in Japanese, so not entirely sure I know what we're getting into here. But I thought what I saw felt quite manga, but at the same time quite good. It's live action, so
Hmm.
I was a little worried we might be getting into zombie ass territory, but this feels a lot more legit.
It does look legit, and actually, I am not familiar with this particular series. Although I feel like I've heard something about this just in the, you know, yeah, just from somebody who had mentioned it to me. It makes me want to kind of look at the manga series just to see what it's about. But the trailer, as you mentioned, Japanese, but from what I saw, it looks kind of entertaining. And maybe this will be worth it, and hopefully subtitled. I will say that the lead character looks remarkably like a good friend of mine, so that made me like it even more. But but in any case, I definitely will bite if we can get our hands on it.
Yeah. And do you want me to just do this next one too? Since it's
Oh yeah,
probably
since this is yours,
I just threw this in there. I
it
noticed
looks
there was
cool.
a very atmospheric looking little side scroller. It's either a game or just a mobile app called Zed. And honestly, I don't have that much to say about it other than you should look at this trailer and just see the. It has a feel that is reminiscent of a lot of other side scrollers that have come out in the last year or so. I forget what the one is called, something Ori. Very similar though, like it's basically black on a white background is the art direction that they've gone in.
With little blasts of color.
And little yeah. And so you're essentially running past through zombie hordes. You have some weapons at your disposal, but I think the primary consideration of the game is to jump over and get past them as opposed to shoot at them. Either way, just really more of a feeling than any kind of real gaming interest in this. So just check out Zed.
I mean, the trailer looks good. I guess my question, and I mean, it's a side scroller game, so, you know,
Not going to be super deep.
it isn't going to be very deep, but, you know, it looks kind of nice. So, I kind of want to learn a little bit more about it in any case, but I might bite, so to speak.
Speaking of
Speaking of
which,
biting,
yeah.
my clunky segue into this next little tidbit. So Norman Reedus was apparently at a zombie convention, whereupon one of the fans bit him and bit him pretty hard. And then he made light of it by just basically, you know, there's a little meme that went out. It's like, do not bite me, that kind of thing.
Like that was a T-shirt that he wore
Yep.
subsequently. Yeah.
Well, it was a T-shirt that had said something else, and then they altered it to say that. But I guess I'm actually a little bit surprised that this hasn't happened, you know, earlier in his career.
In a way, yeah.
And obviously the fan is probably disturbed, and they took this fan out, and I think that they're being evaluated or something like that. But, you know, some people take Walking Dead pretty seriously, and Daryl is not a real person. So I did feel kind of bad for Norman Reedus on this, but I think he handled it in the right way, and I just hope that this doesn't continue to escalate. What did you think about it?
Yeah, just troubling. And surprising, I guess, that it hasn't happened more. And it makes me wonder that maybe if the cast members, when they do these conventions, might not just have lots of security.
They must. I mean, there's no way that you can get around that. But on the other hand, so many of them are very accessible and very nice, and they really do love their fans. So it's like, it's a sort of double-edged sword. Like you want to be nice and like hang, but you don't want to be attacked. And you know, hopefully this is a one-off. But I did feel like, oh man, that's. I guess I feel like he was lucky it wasn't anything worse.
Yeah.
So. They do have a rabid fan base, so.
Ayo.
But speaking of rabid fan bases, this I think leads to our main topic today. What I chose for us to review today was the Ash vs. the Evil Dead series on Stars, and we looked at the first couple of episodes because I know that you, Stuart, have no love of this particular franchise. And so I thought that 2 episodes would probably be your limit. Am I correct?
I will withhold my comment until my portion of the review.
Okay. So Ash versus the Evil Dead. Evil Dead, obviously the sort of like cult, the cult movie. Sam Raimi, Ivan Raimi, they and Bruce Campbell, of course. Sam Raimi, they did this like in the 70s. Is it in 70s or 80s? Sorry, I'm off on my Evil Dead trivia. And we also had Army of Darkness, which was in 92. Yes.
Yeah.
So, and these are, I would definitely put them into the schlocky comedy gore fest type of zombie genre. And it's a little bit, it's zombie, but it's also like, I would say a little bit more possession. I
Definitely.
guess it's like demonic possession is a little bit more in that line. And so for years and years and years, people have discussed about bringing this back, bringing these characters back. And fans were definitely rewarded when the series Ash vs. the Evil Dead was announced. And Bruce Campbell is back, and this premiered on October 31st, 2015. Has a pretty good cast. Bruce Campbell, Lucy Lawless, who, Lucy Lawless was all into the Raimis when she was doing Xena, so I was pretty pleased to see that she was in this. And it was already renewed for a second season, even before it premiered. So I was pretty excited to see this. I was excited that you actually agreed to watch it. And even though I know it was probably rough for you, as I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, Stuart is hating me so much right now. But I really, I think that they did a great job. Sam Raimi was only involved like the writing in the premiere episode. And I just felt like they hit every single note that a fan of this would want them to hit. And it's so ridiculous and so just cheesy and silly, and it picks up exactly where I think you would expect this character to be. Ash is like this womanizing, reluctant battler of zombies, and he's not a pleasant character. It's very dark, and things about the show are very dark, and they don't shy away from that at all. The special effects and makeup people, I feel, have gone above and beyond in terms of ridiculousness. Although they definitely, stop animation was more what was used in the other films, and they are purely CGI here, in my opinion, although they try to make it look a little bit like that. And overall, just after watching these first few episodes, I will watch more, but I'm not going to subject you to it.
Oh, I see. Okay, fair enough.
But they do. I mean, I feel like the storytelling, they're just very much in line with what I think the fans would want to happen. I feel like Bruce Campbell is just amazing and makes me laugh out loud so much. Just so ridiculous. And the whole line, I'm not sure if that, I'm interested to see how they sustain this though, because it's kind of a one-trick pony, so they're going to have to continue just telling the story in this way and having all the gore. And it's a little, I don't want to say monster of the week, but it's, Mimi Rogers was the guest star in the second episode, and I feel like that's kind of where they're going with it. And
Sorry, who was what now?
In the second episode, Mimi Rogers was...
Who's Mimi Rogers?
You don't know who Mimi Rogers is?
Okay, let's skip to the part where you tell me who Mimi Rogers is.
Mimi Rogers, she was like this 80s kind of like I know she was married to Tom Cruise at one point, but she was just like in like the 80s and 90s, just these like kind of terrible like films. She also had a little bit of, she was in Austin Powers.
Who'd she play?
In Austin Powers?
No, in this show.
In the show, she was the what's her face's mother.
Okay. I mean, I watched that episode, did not recognize her at all. So.
Well, she, it's been a while, but I mean, so it's the ridiculousness and the cheesiness is all there. I thoroughly enjoyed it, although I will tell you, watching it on the train was somewhat of an adventure.
I can't believe
I
you watched this shit on the train. Honestly, that's crazy.
You know, sometimes on the train you can get away with it. Certain things you can, and this was one of them where people like change seats to not have to watch it, which
Hmm.
was really I kind of laughed a little bit about that, but I I definitely was laughing along with this, and so and I think that they'll probably gain a new fan base. I just don't know if it's sustainable. That's all. Your review, please.
So yeah, we watched two episodes: El Jefe, which came out on Halloween, and Bait, which came out on the 7th of November. As is apparently very well known on the record, I'm not a huge fan of the original films or the remake that came out a couple years ago, which I forget the name of. It was something like Drown in Blood, or at least that's how I
Yeah.
felt about the film after I watched it. And did we do Evil Dead? Evil Dead, or no, not Evil Dead. Did we do Army of Darkness for the
No,
podcast?
no, we
We
didn't.
haven't done any of that.
No, because you hate it so much.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have not asked you to.
So this show, yeah, it is. So I mean, every review that I'm reading, every AV Club, IO9, all these people that whose opinions that I refer to quite a lot, they love it. They're all like, if you're a fan of this show, you're gonna love this show. So I can see that that is true because I'm not a fan of the film, and yet it's giving me all the same kind of reactions. And the short review is, yeah, I don't hate it. I strongly dislike the artistic direction, but I really enjoy the dialogue and the character of Ash and his interactions with people. Even though he's an anti-hero and disgusting as a human being, it's really entertaining, and Bruce Campbell is great.
He
But
is, and also I have to hand it to him. He's been sort of like floating around doing his own thing, and he was on Burn Notice, which I don't
yeah, he did
every
like 7 seasons on that show.
he did 7 seasons, and he was getting. I mean, I he's an older man. He's getting a little puffy and whatever. So I feel like he really had to like get back into Ash Williams shape for this.
Well, he also, the first like 30 seconds of the TV
I know
show, he's
it's
putting
making.
himself into a corset. So I think they're definitely paying
Playing.
attention to the fact.
Yeah, they are. But
So he is exactly like everybody is saying in their reviews, and like you're saying, he is kind of what you would expect him to be. He's like a very sad hero in his own mind kind of guy. He's a terrible person. He's a misogynist. He's not a good employee.
no.
He's for his boss. And I enjoy his interactions with the character Pablo, even though everything feels a little bit. No, I'm not gonna say anything negative about that. Those are good. I mean, I really enjoy the dialogue between them. I just don't like the effects. And I'm not really 2 episodes in. I'm not really into the other story or subplot of the police, the
Woman.
the yeah, the detective and her partner, certainly from the first scene, or he's wearing the most ridiculous shirt a state cop would ever wear. What is it, like bright yellow, or I forget what the
Yeah.
color is. It's
But
very
come
strange.
on, that whole scene was very like it was so insane and very exorcist.
Hmm.
And I mean they were pulling from all like it might as well like they were really trying to make certain types of fans very happy with that scene.
I get it.
You didn't like it at all though?
No, no.
Okay.
And then like the AV Club writes up their review, and they're like, and then Sam Raimi uses the spinning flashlight to create this feeling of blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, that was dumb. Like I was watching that and pulled out of, like, the thing is the effects and the filming, the editing and angles that Raimi uses, I feel like pull actually create lack of suspension of disbelief. Like they pull me out of what he's doing, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm broken that way. That his approach to filming does not help me watch a film. So
I see. I kind of feel like his approach is very deliberate in that way because you're supposed to know that it's not real. I don't know, but I hear what
I'm
you're
not
saying
saying I
too.
want to believe it's real, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could have the same plot and the same
And just have a better.
mechanisms with deadites and demonic possession and everything. And maybe if they approached it more in a Constantine way as opposed to this,
Right.
maybe it would feel more like TV and less like the original film. And I get it. Like this is, they should not be reinventing this show for people like me who were not fans of the original film. But I would probably be more inclined to enjoy it if it didn't have so much of these accents.
All right. I hear you on that. I'm actually surprised that I'm hearing anything positive from you about this, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been laughing out loud at Campbell's lines. The last line, one of the last lines of the second episode, where he's talking to Pablo about some bullshit analogy about whale and bait fish,
I know.
and when the girl says, "Oh, they were Jewish, not
Yes, that's
Christian," and he's
amazing.
just put a couple of crosses in their graves. I mean, everything he says when he's just dealing with those two and with the other characters is great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. I would watch a whole show
If it was
based
just
on
that.
their interactions. It's just the rest of it I find over the top and not awesome. And I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, certainly based on the 98% they're getting on Rotten Tomatoes, 95% from the audience.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I think it's because all of those reviews, because I read some of them as well, and as I was watching it, I was actually enjoying some of those effects because I think you have to like that specific type of genre to enjoy it, and if you don't like that, then that's not going to be your thing. Because I think you and I had a similar conversation when we talked about what was
Dead
the
Alive.
Dead Alive, and you had the same feeling, and it was kind of like if you didn't like Evil Dead, you were not gonna like Dead Alive, and it's a similar idea. So I don't blame you for that. I don't think it's to everybody's taste, but I was really enjoying it, and I especially enjoy Bruce Campbell. He's definitely in it to win it, basically. I think it seems like he's really enjoying being back in that role, and those three characters, the three main characters of Pablo, Kelly, and Ash, I feel like they have great chemistry. And I agree with you about the detective. I'm not quite sure, maybe she'll fit in a little bit better as
Yeah,
we.
I think it's really just purely the fact that we've only watched the two episodes, and she
Right.
doesn't. Her role does not feel well. I mean, and even Lucy Lawless shows up for like
A
one line of
second, yeah, yeah,
dialogue.
yeah. But
So I know based on
apparently
that,
she plays like a more.
yeah,
I think they're just sort of doing the slow intro with her, but
yeah.
I I just like the idea that they did this, and it makes me pretty happy that it's out there.
Well, good. And I hope you enjoy the rest of it. I might dip back in, but I don't know. I feel like it's gonna occupy the same space as Z Nation for me, where once a month or so I'll be like, oh, I wonder what's going on over here. Oh, they killed off another character. That was the only thing keeping this show going. Okay, I will stop watching.
Well, as long as I don't kill off Bruce Campbell, I'm cool with this one. So
Can you imagine?
I know, but and I have to say, especially with the premiere episode and how they introed some of the things that you're really excited to see. And he's all like explaining the Deadites, and I felt like there was some nice storytelling there, where he's bringing the audience up to speed, and
It's
also the
interesting
characters.
how much they do with flashbacks. Actually,
Yeah. So I thought that was well done. But in any case, I can't recommend this enough. Bill saw about 5 minutes of this and was like, "Ugh, I can't believe you made Stuart watch this." so, so he's on your side, Stuart.
I feel Bill will be on whoever's side is like the least into what we're doing. Frankly,
Probably with anything to do with this kind of thing. It's pretty funny. But he's a good sport for even, which is why I ended up watching it on the train, because like things that he just can't deal with, that's how I end up watching it typically.
right? Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna continue on. But what would you anything else you'd like to bring into this?
Not on this show. I think as I've said everything I need to say.
All right.
I enjoy it on a certain level. And that level is not, however, holistic or whole body enough for me to continue.
All right. What would you like to talk about next time?
I think we should review the film Extinction.
Okay. That looks interesting to me, so let's do it.
Yeah, big fan of Matthew Fox.
Yep.
Let's see what he's doing with himself.
All right.
So I also want to just talk to you about a TV show coming out on Sci-Fi called The Expanse.
Oh, I'm kind of excited to see this.
So the first episode is already you can I think you can just watch it on
You
their
can
Facebook
watch, yeah,
page.
you can watch it. I haven't yet. It's in my queue.
It's
Um,
hella good
really?
to use
Okay.
a Californiism.
All right, I will watch that today. It's been on my sort of list of things to do this week, just didn't have a chance to watch it. But I've been seeing here in New York, there's like a huge ad campaign, and so I keep catching little like glimpses of like the premiere trailer and that kind of thing whenever
Hmm.
I'm sort of out and about. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see it.
It's just a fantastic example of world building, and it feels very much like, giant space opera. If you've read a good science fiction novel that really got you you know, into space lately, I feel like this show is going to have a chance of pulling that off too. So, getting props from me just after the pilot. Looking forward to the second episode coming out on the 15th.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see this too. So I will take a look at that. Did you ever get into the 100?
Yeah, I'm up to date on the 100. I've watched all of those episodes.
All right. So I just recently started watching this, and I have to say after the first episode, I'm not sure if I should continue, and I was curious about your personal opinion.
I find it good popcorn, not guilty pleasure, just like something basic that you don't really need to pay all the time attention to. It's a funny show. I know I've talked about it on the show before,
Right.
because I think the actors are pretty good. They have a good core of young actors, and the older actors are quality also. And the story is interesting enough. It's not going to change the world. It's just a decent show that has good effects, and it's another interesting little world, but not nearly as cool in scope as what I'm seeing in The Expanse.
Okay. Well, that's fair. My friend Derek has really been into this, and you had mentioned it to me too. And it's been one of those shows where I just haven't really had time to add it. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this, and I liked it, but it just felt like Lost slash
Lord of the Flies.
Battlestar slash Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
But it does seem like it has that sort of popcorn sort
Yeah.
of fun thing that you can kind of throw in there.
Yeah. And if you're willing to give it 15% of your brain, or your attention span, you will get a little bit into the storylines between these characters
Okay.
who are, for the most part, it's like 90210,
Okay.
post-apocalyptic, but it's still, because it is post-apocalyptic, you have more interesting storylines than a cheesy teen show, because you've got stuff like leadership and security issues that they don't have to deal with in high school.
All right. That's fair. Okay. Just curious. Appreciate your unvarnished opinion.
Yeah. I think the third or fourth season's coming out in January, and I'll probably watch it again. It's good enough.
All right. All right. Well, until next time.
Yeah. Jolly good. Until next time, we will be available as always on Twitter at ReanimatedPcast, on the Gmails at reanimatedpodcast@gmail.com, and our website is reanimatedpodcast.com. So we look forward to hearing from you guys about how much I suck and how much Ash versus Evil Dead is awesome.
It is awesome.
And stick with us next time when we review Extinction,
Woohoo.
Ice Zombies, or
Woo.
something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Frozen zombies of the north. I don't know. All right. Ciao.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye bye.